Good morning, friends. Good morning, beautiful people, loyal audience, my audience. Welcome to this ad hoc rantings show. Today is uh, exposing deception, exposing deception, blowing off the fog of deception. Again, I got few points, one about Ukraine and one about what's going on and some facts, of course, and then at the end I have some fun fact. It goes like this. Right now, everybody is growing, like all these politicians, and of course, the vehicle, that massive machine of media, which is the vehicle of spreading lies and deceit and psychological spin zones uh, uh, and deception and deluding people about what's going on. They work together, they mesh together, the politicians and the media machine, right? Whether it is here in the US or in Europe or in Russia or the Middle East or China or anywhere else. This media machine, folks, is so massive and so predominant that if you are anything in opposition to them and try to become like available or make your ideas available to the world or anybody else, they suppress it, folks. It is the one that doesn't share, right? Let's put it this way. So the media and the politicians are totalitarianism. Don't kid yourself about that. Don't even consider or lose your way in trying to understand the details or understand the reason and the cause and so on. And the cause, I will explain that later. The cause is primordial, folks. It lives deep within and it is something sinister and evil. But let's start with the first point. This is called blowing the fog of deception, dissipating and dispelling and burning the fog of deception. You hear Biden talk about 600 tanks and whatever. You hear the PM of Sweden, Honorable PM of Sweden, talking about arming Ukraine and whatnot. And then you hear about Poland, whoever it is, supplying tanks and so on to Ukraine. Folks, much of that, if not all, is deception, it's fog. And they talk the talk, they bark, they talk, they crow, they neigh, they bleat, they meow, right? But they never do the do, right? They never do the do, meaning the Ukraine has not been armed, right? Or if it's being armed, it's really superficial. Now, I'm not saying everybody's like that, but whatever they're giving is really not really the edge of weaponry, like the advanced weaponry or sophisticated weaponry that is really effective, or the quantity. Quantity is very low, it's not enough to change things, right? So that's point number one, folks. Make no mistake, even until this moment, on July 6, 2022, at 9:14 p.m., when I'm making a recording of this video, right? NATO, European Union, United States, rulers of the Arab countries, Erdogan of Turkey, Chinese regime, and evidence on Japan as well. I mean, the whole establishment is still working with Pustalenin and still wants Pustalenin to win in Ukraine, and they're working hard toward that, but they failed. They never calculated to this catastrophe of them being unable to invade another country anymore. Oh, but now here's the important part of it. It seems to me that the local Ukrainian leadership is really complicit with that as well, because they're so far, they're playing defense, and not just defense, they're like kind of taking the back seat a little bit and so on. When in fact, they should have now started guerrilla warfare into Belarus and into Russia as well. Now you may say, that's escalation. Really? Oh, that's aggression. Really? Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You can't do that because NATO and EU and USA don't want to escalate. This thing, is to take this out of control. Folks, European average citizen, just like I am an American, average American citizen. This is already out of control. And right now, you may say any aggression by Ukraine against Russia or against Belarus on their own land is like it's a red line, right? But no, because Ukraine was attacked by Belarus, was attacked by Russia. So if they attack them on their own land, which will cost Russia and Belarus a lot of resources to contain, and that guerrilla warfare, which is the style of Afghanistan, and this will shift things, and Ukraine will not be at fault. Oh man, those leadership, that leadership of Ukraine. Oh, if you see what they're doing, they were flabbergasted, they were shocked, they were speechless when Pustalenin couldn't take over Ukraine in 1 week. Similar to Nigel Farage. Remember Nigel Farage? He was shocked that Brexit succeeded, and then on the second try, right? Because he thought everything was fixed up and so on. Again, Brexit made it, and then he was shocked again. And then notice him after that, he busied himself talking American politics and so on, and didn't care about it. And Brexit really never happened. Instead of him wasting his energy and time and influence and to make sure Brexit happens, it didn't happen. Now you may say, that's superficial, folks, just on paper. So that's what it is, folks. So NATO, EU, and USA and others are still supporting Pustalenin. The strategy has not changed. The intentions and ulterior motives are not changed, and not at all. No, folks. That's what I'm telling you. So that's point number one. Point number one is very important, folks. So they're selling you all kind of things, and all kind of lies and deceit, and pulling your legs and tripping you, and laying a blanket, like a blanket. They're like earth-scorching policy on your brains and your understanding and your vision, because they don't want you to see what's going on about Ukraine and what's happening. Point number two, I made, all these points are made before, but I make them now to show you that all that is being said, all that is being done is really nothing but deception, right? That establishment, that umbrella of Israel, decided to take over Europe by way of its leg, which is one of its legs, which is in Moscow, right? Faltered, right? But guess what? These guys are known historically. We know their predilections, we know their thinking, we know their. It's not hard to decipher, folks. If you relate the events and connect the dots, you can understand them. And if you deal with them, you can understand them easily, right? They become very obvious, and they have not changed the plan of invading Europe and removing that world. They consider that an old world, right? It is no different from them trying to get their surrogate in Iran to take over the Middle East. Period, folks, period. And they're arming them with nuclear weapons. Does not matter, folks. If there's any explosions or any accidental launch or any intentional launch, you know what? Those who gave Iran the weapons or whoever it is, they will be burned as well. So no worries about that. So that said, there's very much similarity. Iran's revolution, which is like communism, right? And then there's ISIS, which is Nazism, right? And then you can compare what's happening in the Middle East to what's going to happen in Europe. I made this point before. That hasn't changed. And your establishments in Europe, what are they doing? They're making sure that you don't move, and they're trying to deceive you with the facts and so on, and trying to downplay what's going on, and the intentions and the magnitude and the size of the invasion. And believe me, folks, if Pustalenin was able to make it through Ukraine in 1 week, he will have been all over Germany by now. And guess what? Here's what I'm going to remind you with. That's point number two. The Germans are just taking it like with a stride as if nothing happened, or they don't see the danger, the imminent and the looming danger on the horizon. I want to remind you of something called a movie called A Woman in Berlin, right? This Woman in Berlin movie was made by the people themselves. You may say, well, this is different now. It's not different, folks. Believe me, it's not different. The Russians are hoisting the communist flag, and they're on a mission of denazification. Go see that movie. Watch that movie, A Woman in Berlin, and know if they make it to your country, they will commit far more horror than you can ever imagine. Far more horror than you can imagine, folks. I studied the history of Germany and the Jews in Europe and so on, and I tried to understand, why do they hate the Germans so much? And they say it's Nazism, but now we know Nazism is the vice they ever draw against communism. I come to pretty good conclusions and very positive results and certain results if you know what lurks within, right? I'm not going to go through that here, but it's really genetic. When something burns within, some people are busy, like improving themselves and the world around them. Some people are busy lighting up the flames of hatred within and then destroying the world around them. And they bear such bad notions, about who they are, erroneous notions about who they are and what the world is, right? Anyways, so the comprehensive operation that started not too long ago, like what, 4 or 5 months ago, coming through Europe, coinciding with the pandemic, coinciding with the January 6th attempt of military coup in the United States, coinciding with Iran taking over the Middle East and the Syrian revolution or uprising and all that, folks, is connected, interconnected. There is something in the works. I heard myself, folks, I heard those people myself talk, and they are really in a stage where they think they're going to turn the world upside down and to remove the past. And taking over Ukraine was only the first step. It was really taking over Europe. So I reminded you of what they've done in Germany, and what's coming now is nothing different. It's even worse. Watch that movie, A Woman in Berlin. Eine Frau in Berlin. Right? Watch that movie, people. There's another movie called Hannah, right? Now, in those movies, they accuse you of what you're not. But what I want you to notice is really how they feel about you and what they're going to do to you. Discount whatever you disagree with that about your nature as German or as whoever you are as Arab and so on. But see within that what they're planning to do and what they've done in the past. There's another writer called Ilya Ehrenberg, and he said something about Germany. He was the prophet of the Germans working for Stalin. I mean, he was like, his word was above Stalin. Ilya Ehrenberg. There's an EH. I think that's like a Swedish name or something. Go read him, folks. Just go read him. It's like one page. His statement about Germans in Germany is like, well, not even a page long. But it reveals to you what is in plan for you. If that guy said that in the last century, and now they're carrying the flag of communism and saying that they're coming here to not denazify. Well, they started with Ukraine, but the denazification is really when anybody talks about Nazis and denazifications, they really mean Germans, right? I can't emphasize on you enough or try to impress on you enough to show you what's coming your way, folks. I can't. Only you can wake up. I can only point you. I'm saying, look, there's that danger. There's that horror. There's that darkness that is rolling in from the east. And those hordes of Genghis Khan, Temujin and his grandson Hulagu and whoever it is, right? Uh, they're coming there. They haven't changed. That's them, folks. That's them. These are the soldiers of that dogma. These are the soldiers of that depravity. These are the soldiers of blood and murder and killing and so on. And you witness them in Europe. Berlin is, in the last century, what happened in Berlin? Well, elsewhere too, right? But Berlin is no different from Baghdad 1,000 years ago when the Hulagus rolled in, right? And there was no army, really. And there was betrayal from within, similar to what happened in Germany in the last century. There was betrayal from within. And now you know who it is. It's that Nazi movement, right? Which is the vice, the other jaw of the vice of communism. They're both related at the root, operating at the base, like joint at the hip, and then operated by the same entity. And they just basically grabbed Europe and just destroyed it. Wasn't destroyed completely, and Europeans got reprieved by the destruction of the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. But guess what? They recovered, right? Well, they didn't recover, let's put it this way, but they recovered independence. What I mean by that, now they have the option of making another attempt and attacking and so on. But their foundation is in ruins. Let's put it this way. They found that out in Ukraine. To rebuild that foundation will take another 1,000 years. I don't think they will be able to rebuild that foundation ever. Folks, they have been doing stuff to humanity and the mind of humanity and the psyche of humanity that is so detrimental. Right now, I can tell you, the current state and whoever it is that is doing this have no ability to recover that humanity into the state it was in the last century or early last century. Period. Okay. They don't understand humanity, folks. They operate from their own psyche and the nuances of their feelings and so on and so forth. And these are very primitive, folks. They're not really complex. I just mentioned them to you, right? It's possession of, it's the lives of others and animalizing the others and making themselves God upon others. And it'll never work, folks. It may seem to work to you, but no, folks, just observe it. It's just not working. It was always for centuries, for millennia, it was built on blood and fire and depravity and mischief on earth and so on. But nonetheless, that's not our subject. The subject now here is, know this, folks, what is being said is mere deception, fog of deception. And I'm blowing that fog of deception that so you can see that danger that is coming from the east toward you, Germanics and Scandinavians. It's not to be underestimated, folks. You can imagine all kinds of atrocities and horrors and blood and fire, and you will not be exaggerating. You will not be having a bout of overactive imagination or anything else. That's how bad those folks are, and they're wearing suits, right? They're wearing suits and they talk like they're democracy weasel and so on and so forth. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. Do you remember in Poland? Now, Polish don't remember this perhaps, when they accused the Nazis of murdering 10,000 Polish officers, just like executed them right there and then the Nazis came in cold blood, and then the Nazis did investigation and concluded that it was Stalin, right? But then everybody in that establishment, in that nest, decided, no, pin it on Germans, and they pinned it on Germans, right? Even though the evidence was clear by German forensic investigators that it was Nazis it was communists who killed them, right, by order of Stalin. Eventually, they came to really, eventually they came to really declare that it was Stalin who killed them, and they went to actually talk to Stalin. I think some of them, those officers, were meeting with Stalin and so on, and he just decided to whack them. Who is Stalin? He is a brother of Lenin. They are a brother of Netanyahu, brothers of Netanyahu. So Polish people, those communists from the East, they did a lot of hurt on you. Not just with those 10,000, it was during the war, and you know that history as well as I do, right? And as well as under communism, right? They basically ruined your country and made you live like in a cage under communism and so on. And they're coming again. But this time around, folks, This time around, they will make sure that if they ever get destroyed in another Afghanistan or somewhere, or they falter or fall, they will make sure that you're so altered, your psyche and your soul and your lifestyle, and that you will never ever recover again, and you will always be, even without watch, even without tether, even without guards, even without that, you will obey. You know that they've been successful in much of that now. You know, depravity and the breakup of the family and destruction of the family and the individual and removal of principles and heritage and ethics and history and they've done like pretty bad job so far in Europe and well in the world, right? Um, and if you look at it now from a distance, like I do, it is now more prone to fail as this global society or this global hegemony. And the societies, and they're more prone to fail than succeed according to what they plan. But they don't care, right? Well, you know they don't care. My friends, I really hope you wake up, because you know, if like you watch their movies, and they talk about like Earth being burned, and people are not surviving viruses, and that is the product of a sick mind, folks. Like that's all there is to it. And they're trying to carry that out. If you thought what happened in the last century, the spring of Europe, just like the spring of the Arab Spring and the European Spring, last century, meaningly direct rule. But now there comes the other stage afterwards, which means, guess what? Guess what? That means to really, alter humanity completely, and not to the better, to the lower. It's to the worst. And you won't like that, folks. Now, if you don't care, and if you don't have the stomach to fight back or participate in what's going on, don't have children, folks. Watch that movie, Hannah Laurie. It's in German, Hannah Laurie, about the sister, about siblings whose parents died, I think, and now they're trying to reach their aunt, and they show you how the Germans treat them bad, their countrymen, right? Can't be farther from the truth, folks. But it happened, like it happened last century, and that's only a scratch. Watch those two movies, right? Hannah Laurie and A Woman in Berlin. That's only scratching the surface, folks. That's only scratching the surface. You cannot wait, folks. They're not coming there to just govern you and to rule you and put you under tyranny. They're there to do what they did to you in the last century, right? Not like they're going to destroy your family, they're going to rape your families, they're going to do a job on you, folks. That's why they're coming. If you thought those bloodsucker weasels in the East have changed, you're deceiving yourself. You're delusional. You can't see the truth, and you're unable to see the danger before you. And it's not just you will not survive what's coming, but you will suffer the consequences of it. That's all I can say, folks. All right, let's have some fun. With all due respect, PM of Sweden. And I know a lot about this subject. Let's have some fun. So they tell Obama that mass murder in Syria and Iraq, right, and Afghanistan too, supporting those Shiites and Alawites and whoever they are, right? Those who were there, like a grub, like an insect who burrowed and lives under the skin and in the flesh of humanity, flesh-eating bacteria, for thousands of years. Well, now they're in Europe and in America too, right? They're the dogs of the Netanyahus. I'm not being bad about them, believe me. If you know their history as I do, you will feel much stronger about them than I do. Fact of the matter is this. They decided, those Nobel Prize was given to Obama, right? When they decided to give it to him, I was like, why? Did the guy invent anything? Did the guy bring something to life? As supposedly that's what they do, right? Although I can tell you this, the Nobel prize is restricted. You may not know it, but it's restricted. And Mel Gibson, yeah, you say everything we have is stolen, but guess what? Give you God's, right? And I wondered, why are they doing this? And he started like signaling with his fingers, like, don't give me up, But then let's go for the fun part. Somebody comes and tells him, hey, they decided to give you the Nobel Prize winner. He says, what? How much money is that, motherfuckers? I say, no, look, there's some money with it, but this is about like peace and he says peace, and besides, what is Nobel? Like cowbell, Nobel, that they don't have bells in there or something like that. She said, no, it's a Swedish name. It's like originally that old name from Arabic, Nabil or Nobel, Nubala, those like, it's really a good name and so on. Say, I don't give a shit about those motherfucking Arabs, I'm going to kill them in Syria, and that's what I'm going to do. And Iraq and Afghanistan and whatever. But how much money is that? Say, oh, I don't know, there's like $1 million with it. All right, bring the money, motherfuckers. And he looks around and there's like Panetta, right? Panetta? Yeah, Leon Panetta. And he looks at him like, stares at him for a little while. And he goes, who is this guy? And he says, oh, that's like the national security advisor or whoever it is. Oh, yeah, he looks like tutti frutti nose and eyebrows, right? I look at him and it seems like he's either always sad or always smiling or something like that. Hey, dog. What are you doing? He says, oh, I'm your secretary and so on. He says, do you know how to type on the typewriter? He says, oh, yes, I can type. I learned that, so it's not like I made it here because I didn't know how to type. So I learned typing and few other things, which because, I'm like privileged, he's privileged, he made it to the White House by appointment from Netanyahu, right? And he says, okay, well, don't waste time, you smiley or you sad face. Go print up those executive orders for trillions, Besides, Obama invented a few things, like one of them is how to surreptitiously or quietly transfer trillions on account of Americans to the stock market rabbis, right? Still going on, folks. Bitcoin of Israel cost Americans trillions. Obama's scare cost American trillions. The future, it's not like Americans have trillions, it's like all being debt and digitized, all illegal, all forbidden, all illegitimate. Done like it's like the Vito Corleone taking over the United States. What do you think he's going to do? That's what's happening in the United States. That's what's happening in the world, folks. So I'm making fun of it, but it's not. So I come back and ask myself, why are these guys giving him the Nobel Peace Prize? But I knew deep down inside that Nobel Peace Prize is given only to certain people to encourage them to help them to achieve and so on, because that certain class of people, they always lacked in inventiveness, lacked in ingenuity and so on and so forth. So somebody was trying to get them to pursue other venues of living, right? Not the lives of others. I don't think that worked, because much of the ideas I realized was taken from elsewhere, or there's like management around it. Now, somebody in the Middle East came to do something equal, and that's King Faisal. May God be pleased with him. King Faisal of Saudi, and he established the King Faisal Prize for those scholars from Arab, from Muslim. He wasn't restricting that on Saudis, right? And he, and he was trying to encourage those people and support them with whatever prize money if they become inventive and they start producing good things for civilization. And you know what? Arabs are not short of having given the world what it is now, right? You know, whether it's science or, I don't want to brag too much about that. You already know what I'm talking about. But then comes his successors come and now start giving the prize instead of what it is, started giving it to the Westerners, right? Certain Westerners. Folks, I am questioning that those rulers of Kiev. It's like they're taking the backseat. They should launch cross-border incursions into Belarus, and they should launch borders incursions and attacks into Russia. You may say, well, they did that. Oh, well, how much? 1 or 2 times? I think that's for deception, right? You know, to deceive the people that they're doing something when they're not. They should get those people busy and now, folks. So they manage, you know, like sometimes they celebrate like a victory, like the 1967, which is really not a victory. It was managed from behind, right? The Hafiz al-Assad and Jamal Nasser and whoever it is, you know, they pulled their forces similar to Russia after being defeated by Germany, coming back to destroy Germany. You could thank Hitler, brother of Lenin and Stalin, and now Putin and Lavrov and Schweigel or whoever it is. There you go, folks. Europeans, Germanics, I will repeat to you again, what's coming your way is hard. Get up and fight, folks. Get up and fight. Get up and fight. In each and every one of you, there is a Leo Armenians, there is a Bismarck, there is Wittmann, that tank ace, there is Novotny, there is Van Richthofens, the Red Baron, and in each and every one of you, and there's Becker, right, that utterly fearless military leader. In each and every one of you, there is someone like this, and now you don't not just need to defend yourselves, but you need to take back from what has been done to you in the last century. Germanics, Germans, rise up now. Don't allow that establishment in there to hold you back and tie you down while the others are coming to inflict the most severe pain and destruction and defiling your people and so on. Get up now, folks. I can't emphasize that enough on you. And if you're in the intelligence and listening to this, right, you will pass it to your people. If you can't do anything about it, pass it to your people and make them understand what's going on, what's coming their way. It faltered a lot, right? And I can tell you they're not coming in. But guess what? Guess what? There is a conspiracy deep within, either in Kiev or in Berlin or in London or in Washington or I don't know. It's like they're just feeling bad. You can see it in their faces, right? On their faces. They're feeling bad that this didn't work or something. Have a nice day, my friends, and I wish you guys wake up. If not, then don't have children and don't even continue living. Well, you know, well, you see what I'm saying, right? Otherwise, I'm gonna repeat the other point. When the Hulagu and Genghis Khan, you know, came, there was no armies, right, in the Muslim world, right? Then they were really like living utopia, almost utopia. People didn't think it was going to be that bad. I'm telling you, this is the case now, folks. By the time, if they are successful, that's like 1 per million, right? Chance, not even. If they're successful, you will wake up to horror in Germany and in Scandinavia and here and there. You will wake up to the horror of the moment at that point, and you will realize that you failed again, either estimating what's going to happen in World War II, when that Nazism and communism came about and started destroying you, and then prior to that in World War I, and then just like the Muslims, Berlin is just like Baghdad's just like Berlin. What happened to Baghdad some 900 years ago? It's just like Berlin, folks. In the last century, in World War II, the rape of Berlin. Again, watch that movie, A Woman in Berlin, and Hannah Laurie, you know, and her sisters, you know, running around in Germany and so on. They say stuff in them that's not true about Germans. It is true about some SS elements I told you about, who are brothers of the Stalins as well. And they're very few, and they would go commit atrocities and give reasons, right? You don't understand the sophistication and the complexity of their cunning.
That's it, folks. Watch that movie, and it's only scratching the surface of what those uh, Hulagus and Genghis Khan hordes, right, did to you in the last century. That's only scratching the surface. They did far worse to you, folks. It's better to die now, fighting, standing up and fighting. It's better to die than to wait until those hordes of Pustalenin makes it your country. It's better for you to fight them now in Ukraine than to wait until you fight them in your country, because they will have acquired leverage if they take over Ukraine. If, big colossal if. Have a nice day, my friends. I pray you wake up. I pray you get up and fight.